I'm Ron Reader, and this is Ron Reader Digs the Universe. Tonight, an open letter to the government regarding COVID-19. Mr. Abbott, you reopened the Texas economy during the pandemic against the advice of literally every epidemiologist in the country. You did it anyway. Was it that you really believed coronavirus is a hoax? Was it because all the other Republican governors were doing it? Was it peer pressure, Mr. Abbott? Did you feel like you needed to get workers off unemployment? Was it about owning the liberals? Well, whatever the reasons, you did it. And now we Texans are dealing with exactly what every epidemiologist said would happen if you reopened the state. An indefinite, exponential, prolonged rise in COVID-19 cases. My town, Houston, is fast approaching global pandemic epicenter status, a shameful distinction if ever there was one. Harris County Judge Lena Hidalgo wants to shut us down again, but you won't let her. Again, why? Next thing up in the Bayou City, well, we've seen it all on television before. First, the ICUs will fill up, and actually that just happened over this past weekend. Next, the ICUs will overflow into hallways and various unequipped spaces here and there, crowding out treatment for other dire ailments. And then the deaths, which always come in a wave after the spike in ICUs. And the morgues will fill up, overflowing into parking lots, refrigerated 18-wheelers, streets, alleys, wherever they can go. Then, the emergency mass graves. Mr. Abbott, I think you ought to dig some of those mass graves yourself that you made necessary. Get your hands dirty. Come on down here to earth like the rest of us regular Texans. See what it's like with your own eyes. Mr. Abbott, the longer you play around with this, the harder it's going to be to beat. You remember Wuhan, China, when all this got started? The government sent around crews of workers to weld people into their own homes. And we will be worse than Wuhan. I am glad, Mr. Abbott, that you have shown some willingness to change course, shutting down bars, freezing your reopening process, knocking back restaurants to 50% capacity. I have seen that you have endured withering, scathing criticism from other conservatives for doing so. Bravo. But in spite of all that, it is as though you are using a band-aid to treat a jugular wound. You must do far more. But you know, the fact that you have altered course on this ever so slightly tells me much. Whatever you believed or thought when you reopened the state, by now you know how badly you've screwed this up. You know, but still you sit on your hands. You have made this all about you. Do you have the balls to stand up to that carpet-bagging New York Yankee degenerate in the White House and all his buddies because it's the right thing to do? Or are you a pathetic careerist worm who's more afraid of losing his primary than he is of having Texans' blood on his hands? This is now all about your ego. And whether or not you have any willingness to stand up to tyranny. It's just you. One man. One Texan. One very real, non-partisan crisis. From one Texan to another, Mr. Abbott, lock down this state. I'm Ron Reader, and this has been Ron Reader Digs the Universe. Join me, Ron Reader, again next week for another episode of Ron Reader Digs the Universe.